he's there to rustle and bustle up people, get into tackles. And if you look at his metrics, funny enough, he's got better metrics than Declan Rice.
I don't think Pep's philosophy suits Haaland. I think we saw a much better Haaland at Dortmund.
You got Martial on 250 grand a week, supposed to be helping this kid. Who's Hojlund learning from at Man United? Rashford?
You know these lists of like charts created, all these kind of things. We've got 2 players on these lists that fit into a negative list, the minus XG.
What's happening, everyone, and welcome to 888 Sport. On this episode of the playlist, we are going to be ranking the most underwhelming footballers in the Premier League this season. Helping me go through it is none other than the wonderful Turkish Flex, who you know very well, and making his debut. You'll recognise him from the brilliant SDS podcast. It is Sugar Sean. Welcome, Sean.
Thank you for having me.
Now, honoured. So, chaps, obviously, we aren't being hostile. There is no hate within our tone here. We're just acknowledging that these players perhaps under-delivered. From what we expected of them last year, we are slightly miffed by how it's gone for them this season. So, the players that I would like you to rank are Gabriel Martinelli, Mason Mount, Rasmus Hojlund, Moises Caicedo, and Erling Haaland. Just before we do our reveal, will you please do us the honour of clicking that subscriber button? We are inching ever closer towards that 100,000 subscribers, and we would love for you to be part of it. Thank you so much. Right, fantastic. I think we have all now completed a list. Let's see how it looks. Martinelli at the top, Sean. Start strong,
Martinelli first.
Martinelli?
Yeah.
First.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Sean heard me say Martinelli and said, yeah.
He's like, I got the inroad.
Yeah.
First, why first?
I feel like as if like it's all situational based, but obviously Martinelli, I feel like the expectation, this is what I mean, the expectation. I thought Martinelli, the way that Arsenal fans talk about him maybe being an outlet for Arsenal, he's the difference maker on the counter-attacks, the speed, the matchups that he's able to take on his fullbacks. That's what I thought would flourish a lot more this season. Like he's stepping into that.
and he was so good last season as well.
Yeah, he was so good last season. And that's what I mean. So the expectation from what he set last year with the amount of goals and contributions he had, whether he was asked to go in the middle, whether he's go up front or go on the left-hand side, I feel like I expected more from him from this season. What's he on this season? 4 goals?
6.
6?
Still not good enough.
Yeah, it's not good enough.
Well, from the Arsenal perspective,
I don't
top.
No, I don't think it's fair to have him top, but I don't disagree with anything he just said. That's the thing. I just think, listen, we're going to look at it from different perspectives, different angles, and I think every player on the list can have a shout for number one if we use these different angles.
Yeah.
Like I said, I don't disagree with what Sean said about Martinelli. I expected a hell of a lot. I expected 20 goals this season from Martinelli and Saka. But, you know, Saka's done his thing statistically. It's Martinelli I'm looking at. He hasn't. But I think other players on this list, I've put Caicedo top. I think the reason speaks for itself. You know, highest transfer in Premier League history.
Do you know the only reason why I think it's harsh to put him so high? And what do you think of this? We signed a player who had only played about 40 Premier League games. Like, how highly, realistically, did you rate him? It's not really about the money, because Chelsea are foolish in that regard. Chelsea spend ludicrous amounts of money without any real thought or reason. We splurge, and we got held to ransom. But Caicedo's come in. I don't think he's done that badly. And if we're holding the price tag against him, that's completely not his fault. He played 40 games. It was idiotic to ever spend that amount of money on him.
That's true.
Which is why I don't really think...
I remember you saying something similar with the Mudryk situation of like, why are we surprised he's rubbish? What's he ever done?
Yeah, I know.
Like, he's 88 million for what?
I think that all the time about Premier League footballers these days, the majority of them at Chelsea, when you kind of go, they have done nothing. Absolutely nothing. Like Shakhtar Donetsk, he's done well there. And I'm going to be totally frank with you. Right. I don't think I've ever watched a Ukrainian league game, so I don't even know.
Yeah.
But apparently he did well, and I saw him score quite a good goal once on YouTube. So, okay,
so
fine.
88 million.
But 88 million. But it was ridiculous. And therefore, I catch myself doing it sometimes. I don't hold Mudryk to the standard that perhaps other people do, because he's been thrown in the deep. He was never good enough.
But we can't rid them of their responsibilities in games. And when I have actually watched Caicedo for a lot of games, I'm not saying like he's the worst ever signing for this amount of money. However, a lot of hype. I see him just kicking people, getting caught on the ball. Like, I don't see. Don't get me wrong.
Better,
he's got
him or Enzo Fernandez.
Oh, don't get me started on Enzo Fernandez.
What do you think?
Listen,
where is Enzo Fernandez actually?
I'm not getting started on Enzo.
What, are you a fan of?
No.
Caicedo's been
nowhere
better.
near.
Talk the thing.
Caicedo recently, like obviously everyone remembers it because obviously this is the transfer signing. Because like you said, you can't blame him on the transfer signing. He didn't choose to be worth 100 and something million.
And it was that disastrous debut as well.
Yeah, it's
that's
the
the
debut.
thing. Everyone
That's what I
remembers.
mean.
it.
Everyone remembers it. But that's what I mean, because like with him, that's why I don't really have him as first on the list. Because if you go by price tag, obviously he'd be number one. But I don't feel like centre midfielders in his role should be worth that amount of money. That's the kind of money that you spend on forwards for doing great things.
Yeah.
He's there to rustle and bustle up people, get into tackles. And if you look at his metrics, funny enough, he's got better metrics than Declan Rice.
Well, I don't know about that.
Don't do that.
I know.
This
But
is- Wait,
I'm not
wait,
a stat
what
person.
metrics?
No, I'm not a stat person.
Which ones?
I'm
Which
not
ones?
a stat person.
So I need to know which metrics.
Rory, on my life. Recently,
ones?
No. all
Speed.
these,
Not early.
No, you know
Just
all these
possession.
things.
Been here
half hour.
Yeah, I know. you know all these things. I'm not a person with stats.
Yeah.
I'm eye test. I
Correct.
can see what I see. Declan Rice is clear of what Caicedo's done this season. But it's funny when people put up these statistics on the timeline. It's like on Twitter, on X. I'm seeing metrics of like ground duels won,
Nah.
aerial duels won, all these things, and I'm like,
Can't be. Impossible.
it is. I've
They
seen-
can't be
I've
real.
seen-
This is
I've
how
seen-
people are bigging up Havertz at
Yeah.
Arsenal. Aerial jewels.
I
It's
hate
great.
it. I hate
Yeah.
it. But
Yeah.
Can I ask you
people are-
something?
Yeah.
If it was Enzo instead of Caicedo, where would Enzo
Enzo's
fall?
first.
That's what I was gonna say. Enzo's probably because he's a World Cup winner and he got the what's it for the young player?
Young player.
Yeah, young player. of the
He's average.
But it's the
tournament.
technical ability of what they see in him as a more advanced 8. Like Caicedo is a defensive midfielder there to rustle and bustle people.
I do agree with you, really, Sean. You've got a situation where Chelsea have spent £250 million on two players who both play central midfield who seemingly can't play together. However, as harsh as we're being on Caicedo, and he hasn't performed, certainly not to the level that we hoped, but maybe our expectations could be slightly higher. He was one of the best players in the league last season. Liverpool definitely wanted him. At one point, Arsenal fans were genuinely having a conversation, do we want Rice or Caicedo? So we've all got to be slightly surprised that it's been so underwhelming at Chelsea.
You've got to look at the mess that Chelsea are in and where they're searching for players, where they're playing. Like it's Conor Gallagher is our number 10. Like that's where we play him.
Yeah.
So it's like the confusion of where people do these roles. Like who's the geezer that picks up the ball from the defenders? Is it Caicedo? Is it Enzo? Like because Caicedo last season for Brighton,
Yeah, he does that.
with McAllister. He switched in roles over 2 different seasons. Like he was the ball progressor in midfield. McAllister would drop in deep. Then the next season it was like Caicedo dropped in deep. McAllister was the more advanced. So it's like at Chelsea where the confusion is with the roles of what some of these midfielders.
It's a
are doing.
real
It's
worry,
confusion.
isn't it? I think that people should be very. Sometimes you have to sign a player and take a punt, right? When Manchester United signed Wayne Rooney, he'd done it for one season. But quite often when a player has had one good season and you sign him off the back of one good season, Cucurella, you don't know. Caicedo, you don't know.
Yeah.
When Arsenal signed Nicolas Pepe, it was done off the back of one really good season.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to be very careful.
And also,
of it.
even with Caicedo, I've just you speak about the eye test a lot. I'm big on that. Like,
Yeah.
I don't really like
I
XG
hate
and
metrics,
things are this ground. I just don't give a toss about it, to be honest. I just go with what I see all the time. Yeah. I just think Caicedo's just good. Like,
Yeah.
it's just. He doesn't do anything amazingly well. I just think
does
he
his
can
roll well.
I think he in the right team when everything's where it needs
Right
to
manager.
be. He can be right manager. He could be,
Yeah.
good. He could be effective. But I don't see him as like this top draw player. And Enzo, don't get me started. I think he's average.
Don't,
But,
Caicedo, well, I've moved it to Enzo now, but Caicedo was top of my list not just because of fee, but because I rated him. He was
it's
not
underwhelming.
only having a
Well,
debate.
that's my logic.
Not only 6'8".
Do you know
He
what?
done the right
Turkish.
inverting from right back as well. So for the right manager, he might pull it out the bag.
Enzo,
that's exactly-
when we were making that list, I'm like, Enzo is guaranteed clear top of my list.
Yeah. I don't disagree with that either.
Would literally be this.
That's your logic, though. What you said, you kind of expected Caicedo to be good, and therefore the fact that he isn't good makes him more underwhelming. That's the methodology I've used for my top 2. I've put Haaland top because I know he's potentially going to win a Golden Boot, but I felt like he deserved the Ballon. I was making a case that he deserved the Ballon d'Or last year.
and it's a
The
genuine
drop,
case. That's
no, it's a
genuine
genuine
that
case. I
was,
think he was
Probably
robbed.
should've won it, yeah.
Lionel Messi didn't deserve it. Lionel Messi was scoring goals in America at the time. He won it because he had a good 7 games at the World Cup. That's not what I believe that it should have been.
Don't speak about the goat.
That's a lot, though, Rory. Winning the World Cup.
Okay, he didn't even
he
have a
did
good
it.
7.
Did it by himself. Yeah.
It was.
I don't know. I felt like it was harsh giving it to Messi. I really did. He was scoring goals in America, and he didn't even make it into the French
Sometimes
team.
the story
He
in
didn't
football
even
can
get-
be like
no,
that.
No,
Give
I,
the big man his
I don't
props.
mind. I don't mind him.
Because
winning.
look, Haaland's not Ballon d'Or worthy. Look now.
No, but he
I
was
think it's
last
harsh
year.
on
Look
Haaland.
now.
I think it's harsh on Haaland.
But basically, Haaland went from being, in my opinion, the Ballon d'Or winner last year
A League Two
not even. I mean, Roy Keane calling him a League Two player.
Do you not
which is obviously born out of a hatred for the Haaland family.
Since he's never said it, what's he done?
But he's been right.
Do you not blame that on the way that teams set up against City now with Haaland playing up front? I feel like it's massively down to the fact that people play low blocks and they know how he plays.
He's got to find a way. He's got to find a way. He's got Bernardo
But
Silva and Kevin De Bruyne and Jeremy Doku.
But you know what?
talking
It's not up to him to find the way. When you play for Pep, Pep tries to find the way, and I don't think Pep's philosophy suits Haaland. I think we saw a much better Haaland at Dortmund. We saw a Haaland that would run into space on the ball, progress the ball. Now the Premier League fans think that he's just an in-the-box player. He wasn't that when he came into City. And he had 3 months out. He's got 20 goals.
It's very generous of you, though. It's very generous of you to alleviate any of the pressure on being a good footballer from Haaland's shoulders and put it on Guardiola.
But that's what I was just going to bring up. I'm saying we're just seeing now, there's two sides. In a Pep system, they're so robotic, they're very fluid. No one wants to step out of line. Cool. Apart from like when they bring on Doku to go and express himself.
Yeah.
Even he's still got to do it within the structure, But realistically, Pep likes to play a certain way. We've seen Man City win leagues without strikers, without proper number 9s, half number 9s, false number 9s, whatever. And we've seen them win leagues with 9, like Aguero and stuff.
Yeah.
So we've seen them do all different kind of styles. And look what Haaland done last year. I think it's more what you're saying, Sean, like defenders and where you set up against Haaland now, they're exposing his deficiencies in his game. Like, it's not... If City make a few tweaks and become getting Haaland facing goal and getting in behind like he was last year, it can be back to it's over for everyone again.
But he's still got his 20.
Absolutely, because he's always going to get goals because
3
he's
months
that
out.
good.
Because we could actually have this exact same argument with Bukayo Saka and the way that people have tailored their games to try and to triple up on Saka sometimes and actually try and stop him from playing his game. Haaland's game is a lot more than just being in the box.
What you've just said there, though, that kind of taps into Martinelli not having a good season. Because if you are doubling up, trebling up on Bukayo Saka, that should open up space over the other side.
No,
but does Haaland... But can Haaland...
left-hand side.
If we're looking about the facets of his game, obviously the goal scoring is the top thing, Obviously, I would say his power and his speed, like once he gets going with space.
But City don't get going anymore.
But they don't get going anymore. So
Put Haaland in the Sterling Sane team.
But this is what I mean about...
player.
You see, when you talk about someone being the Ballon d'Or, like, I was uncomfortable about him getting it last year. He broke all the records, so he should have got it. But like, the way I like my football played and the type of play...
He's not
like,
aesthetic.
He don't go and make anything happen on his own.
No, he's not
like,
beautiful.
The top players need to grab the game by a scruff of a neck if a team's playing crap and say, I'm going to go and change it.
But you know what it is, I liken him to, like, you see in Pep's system, I liken him to, let's say, a Ruud van Nistelrooy. No one cared. Ruud van Nistelrooy didn't do the link-up play and all that.
But he did, though. He did
it better for sure, but no,
did.
he's not known for that. Now, if you're bagging 20 goals with 3 months out and you could potentially get 25 by the end, 3 months out and you're hitting mid-20s or close to mid-20s.
Mate, he's gone from Ballon d'Or to losing out.
As a striker, he's
flipping
Cole Palmer.
To flipping Dominic Solanke.
Yeah.
And flipping Ollie Watkins.
Do you know the other thing I would say, right? When you're playing for City, you're always going to have chances. You're always going to score goals. When you're a player of Erling Haaland's quality, you're always going to score a certain amount of goals. That's going to be in the bag for you regardless, right? So there is a baseline here. The reason that Haaland was bought wasn't to score 4 against Luton, right? That's not what he was bought for. He was bought to make sure that he scores goals against Liverpool, to make sure that he scores goals against Real Madrid, to make sure that he scores goals when it most matters. Van Dijk sewed him up. Rudiger sewed him up. Nacho sewed him up. In those games that he was bought
Saliba,
Gabriel, both times. Saliba, Gabriel. Particularly that second one. Like, he had something...
both XG 0.
But you know the second one, the one away, where they needed, a point was good for you at the time and less good for them. I think Haaland touched the ball 7 times, if I remember rightly off the top of my head there. That's mental. Like, that's mental.
And again, this is going to sound like a complete hater as a Man United fan. He needs enough chances to score.
Yeah.
Like, he plays for City, they're going to get millions of chances. It's like the Nunes thing. If you play up front for Liverpool, you're going to get a barrel of chances. It's fine. So you're going to rack up your stats. Even last season, he scored so many goals, but with games he'd missed like a lot.
Look at the games that look at the goals.
And he still got 20 goals.
Look at the chances. The chances that he's missed this season. In that game that we were just talking about, there was that one chance, made a pig's ear of it, right? Against Real Madrid. Again, that has that chance, makes big the miss against Liverpool when it finished 1-1 when Alexander-Arnold scored.
These are the difference makers.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
So the drop off. So we're talking about
underwhelming. Yeah.
Versus now, because really we expected him to go and do more records.
I don't think it's that much of a drop off. I feel like it's definitely more tailored around the fact that they're alleviating his talent and his skill in the areas of what he's good at. Because otherwise, don't get me wrong, I do agree with you, Rory. You do have to actually force yourself into the game sometimes. Harry Kane used to do it with Tottenham.
Yeah.
Do you get me? So like,
a way
if
to
he needs
impact
to
the
drop off, he'll find a way to drop off and help.
Yeah.
So-
Whereas Haaland doesn't. And,
Yeah,
that's
there
what
is.
I expected. I expected Haaland and Man City to go to another level this season. And they actually haven't. I think the club have plateaued. They're certainly going to have a worse season in terms of trophy accumulation. And Haaland's record is at best half compared to what it was last year.
Yeah.
So I think that the reason he's top is because I thought he was going to be so good. And the reason I got Mason Mount second is because as much as I think he's a Judas, I thought he was a brilliant player. And I really did think that midfield of Casemiro, Bruno Fernandes, Mason Mount was going to do
But Rory,
United.
But you know what it is?
But it's
I put him
fueled by
second
hate.
on my list. But
Why?
it's not for the actual, like, I know he's missed obviously most of the season through injury, but I feel like I put him second on the list because of his decision to go there. Because he goes there in a position where I feel like where we didn't give him the chances to flourish in that more advanced 10 role behind the strikers, he went to a team where Bruno Fernandes literally does that role. So why are you going there? Like, if they've got Casemiro in there, they're not going to have Casemiro.
Did you not think he would do the 8?
yeah.
Nah.
I thought.
But
I thought he was going to work.
Listen,
for him.
this is
I
the
thought he
thing
was
why
gonna
we
Friday,
can't.
you know?
We
Not
don't
late.
know. It's so bad of the injuries that he's had. We don't even know what the plan was. We can't see it. He's been injured for ages.
Do you know what the thing is? He got brought into your team, yeah, and he played the predominant seasons that we asked for him on the right-hand side. He played right wing, basically. We never really got to see him in it.
But we can't say that Eric Ten Hag was going to be. We don't know what his plan was. Like if there was a sufficient sample size to see Mason Mount start 10, 15, 20 games in a specific position, you go, that's not working.
Although
Like,
Flex,
there
can we not work it out just through understanding where the deficiencies in the Manchester United team lies?
Yeah, you can
kind of look at it and go,
I don't think
they
it's gonna
must.
work. Where's
They
that gonna
must
work?
think that it's going to be. He's a better player than McTominay.
Yeah, of course.
Is it not fair to assume?
But
that
times when he
Mason
was
Mount
on,
gonna do
at
that?
times when he was on, we did see him further advanced as 2-8s with next to Bruno, and it was only again it's like 4 games. 'Cause
But it
he
looked
kept getting
horrible.
injured.
But it looked horrible.
No,
It
but
looked advanced.
but again, that's what I'm saying. So in 3 games, when you're trying to find a balance of new players, which can happen with teething problems, we're basically saying that's never going to work. We don't know.
But there's no patience to allow him to through that teething process because there's such a demand for winning games and being up there at early stages of the season that they ain't got time to be seeing it. Bruno Fernandes started off in certain games, he'd go right wing. Mount would go in the 10. They would then pack up the midfield, try and use him in the 10. Then all of a sudden they use Mount right wing one game. They put Bruno back in the 10. And then they change Mount to
Yeah,
8.
but that's what I'm saying. But that's indicative of the injuries
No
that Man United have. Like, there's the plan. We don't know what the full solid plan is because the team's been ravaged. So every single game we've had to change it. He said he's had He only had his team once.
Where
in
is he on the
18
list for you?
For me, he's fourth.
Fourth.
The 2 Man
Yeah.
United players at the bottom.
Yeah, Rory's got second and third.
More just on because I love Mount so much.
And
man.
you two are
He was
Chelsea,
a player.
so
He's a good player.
Yeah.
He's a player, man.
Out of all these
Bottom.
players, I think least expectation was on Mount because of
Oh, I
variables.
thought he was going to fly there, mate. I
And
really did. As much as you
also
know why
the
I was so
output
upset
is-
because I thought he was going to be superb for them.
No, it's fair.
He still
like I
might.
said, it's the metric.
Yeah, he might.
I still think he
No,
will.
no,
I
you
still
know-
think he's going to be a
but
good player
Do
for us.
you know when I
Yeah.
look
First.
down this list in terms of like I think that's quite a good chat. We obviously need to talk about Hojlund where
Yeah.
people have got him because obviously he's quite high on your list there.
yeah, he's definitely.
But we know when you look down this list, I still think that of the players that I believe will come good, I think all of them will actually. But I feel like Mason Mount can still thrive and have a really good time of it at Manchester
He's a good
United.
footballer, man.
I hope it don't happen, but I feel like he's a good player.
He's a good footballer. Once
Every manager who's
there's so
ever
much
played for us
wrong.
loved him.
There's so much wrong at Man United, as we know.
you can't.
You can't judge. Like once the team settles down and new decisions are made, he will be a good player for us. But the guy's been injured all year.
What about Hojlund? You've got Hojlund second there.
I said Hojlund because United have been starving for a 9. He comes in, he's young, big fee. It looks like he's on that verge of maybe being a good enough striker. And he's been.
He gets away with it. People
been
don't hold
underwhelming.
him to account. I don't understand why. He had a little purple patch where he scored some goals.
Yeah.
Nobody really flags that. You know when we talk about what's going wrong at Manchester United, people will flag how bad Harry Maguire is and they will flag how bad Scott McTominay is time and time again without ever talking about Hojlund.
All right, let me give you
Man
the
United.
yeah. Let me. Do you know what? No, and do you know what? There are 2 sides to this, and both of which I get right. But if I said to you, like, okay, let's do the price tag thing, where we've already said it's not their fault. So Rasmus Hojlund absolutely should never be 64, 70 million pounds. He's a 30. He's a Jackson price wise. Should be 30 million. Man United again problems, always doing the wrong situation. He's 9. You got him at 19. He's now 20, and he has to spearhead Man United's attack with no support, with no help, with other senior pros who are absolute dog. Never sees the ball, never gets chances. Even the goals he scored in the purple patch were him. Man United don't set him up for chances. The guy's starved. And if I say to you, he's our second highest scorer in all competitions in his first ever season. He's got 13 goals in all comps. He spent time, even though Man United managed to F it up and finish bottom of the Champions League group because of Onana, by the way. He spent time at the top of the Champions League goal scoring group. And in the Premier League, then he went on a purple patch. He got injured, come back, and he's not been it. So for a young player who's from Atalanta, who had one breakthrough season, again, Man United should never put that pressure on him. I think he's done all right.
How many league goals has he got?
About 8. Which and he's been out. We bought him injured. Again,
Same sort of numbers as Gabriel, your centre half, isn't it?
Good,
Wait, listen.
good
If you went through the list of the Arsenal forwards, it doesn't really look nice on a lot of them.
Exactly.
4-6s.
But what I'm saying is, this is a kid who essentially is not ready to be at this level, has been fast-tracked because Man United make stupid decisions. He should not be leading the line.
That's all true.
And he does have deficiencies in his game because he's young, but he's still got 13 goals in all
let's
comps.
just analyse his contribution.
Yeah.
You know, we don't need to always flag the culture of the club, the issues with the boardroom, the inadequacy of the manager. Sometimes it's just Hojlund hasn't played well.
But the goals that he scored, when he scored goals, people are saying, yeah, this is the player for the future. They're going to be fine with him.
Those numbers can mask a lot. For example, Nicolas Jackson's got very flattering numbers comparable to Didier Drogba's first season. He's crap.
But he gets the ball all the time.
I think this is massively bad on Hojlund. I rate Hojlund massively. I think Hojlund's a great striker.
But what based upon what?
I watched him in the phases of when he was at Atalanta. He weren't even a starting striker. He was
be honest, I have never seen him play for Atalanta.
But he was.
That's why we're going to listen to Sean.
But he was like in rotation with Zapata and Muriel up front. Like they were playing like a 3-5-2, 5-3-2, whatever you want to call it.
You weren't the main guy.
Muriel and Zapata were the leading line players, but they were in their 30s. They were heading to their 30s. So obviously he was the guy that was going to come in to replace these guys, to set them going. But obviously the high demand of when he was featuring in games, coming off the bench, scoring goals, you could see the electricity in his game, how he beats people from deep, running into space, finishing. Like he showcased some good.
And we've seen glimpses of that at United, but United, again, I hate to bring it back to the team.
It's a bad
but
place.
it's a poisonous place, bro.
It's a bad place.
And the kid, this is a kid, honestly, you got Martial on 250 grand a week, supposed to be helping this kid. Who's Hojlund learning from at Man United? Rashford? Who's the senior forward? Our best forwards are the youngs. Garnacho's had to play 30 games consecutively. Like
This
in his breakout season. Like it's crazy.
It's all true. But
he ain't been as bad as people say, man.
Yeah, he ain't.
He hasn't.
I think he has, but there are reasons as to why he's been as bad. I think we can explore the reasons, but that doesn't mean he hasn't been.
I think
Getting balls up here
over
and
the
that
years,
fight.
He has been bad.
over the years, fans have softened their stance on what is good and what is the expectation of signings. Because
That's why I should never be
I'm
there.
going
I
to
just
use
say
Nicolas
that.
Pepe as an example, Arsenal player. So we signed him for what, 70 mil. It wasn't all up front. He comes in, I think, first season around 10 goals, second season around 11 goals. Halfway through the first season, man, we were ripping him. No one cared about, what did he come into? A poisonous, toxic Arsenal side. No one cared he got, 10 in his first season? But now, I'm not just saying Hojlund, let's talk about Havertz as well. These men are getting Bob standard numbers and everyone's saying it's good enough.
Everyone's kind.
The bar has gone very low in the last few years.
But I don't agree. I don't disagree with the fact that, like I said, Rasmus Hojlund is not good enough to lead the line for Man United game in, game out. He's not at that level of his own career.
Okay, that's
so why the hell have they made that decision? As a United fan, that pisses me off. But what I'm saying is considering all of that, we can still see this kid's good.
Yeah.
Like, let's not do. The kid's not dead. He's not. He's
Rory's
not.
not convinced.
You're like he's just rubbish. He's not rubbish.
No, he's
We've
not.
seen.
No,
it.
I'm not saying
in
he's
the
rubbish.
Champions
I feel
League.
like he's incredibly young and he could have an incredible, and he could go on to have a dazzling career. I'm not saying I'm not writing him off, not by any stretch. He's a young kid perfecting his craft. I'm just saying that appraising his season, he's been rubbish.
Okay.
I
think that's harsh. I don't think he's
Champions
been
League
rubbish.
top goal scorer group stages.
I mean, it's
At
so
20 in
mis-
his
it's
debut
so
season.
And the team finished bottom.
In a toxic game. Yeah,
scoring
team
goals
finished
against
bottom.
Copenhagen.
Oh man.
Rory, this
And
is-
Bayern Munich. The
Like,
goals
when we were judging Haaland moments ago, we went, how did he do against Saliba? How did he do against Van Dijk? How did he do against Rudiger? With Hojlund, we're not doing that.
He's got because he's been gobbled up by those guys. He's been gobbled up by a lot of centre halves because
But we're judging
he's
them
young
by
and he's not
different
ready
yardsticks
yet.
and they're both
no,
leading the
I'm
line
saying
for-
that he's not good enough yet. He's not.
Right.
Like,
No,
what do you
I agree with
expect
you.
him
He's
to
not
do?
good. He's not.
But
good.
I wouldn't have him up there as one of you're saying he's just had a rubbish season. I disagree.
It's evident to see there's a lack of service at United.
Completely.
I think we all agree though. He's been rubbish.
I hardly
but
touched
it's
the
not
ball.
his fault. Is what you're saying. I think we
Yeah,
agree that
massively
he's been
not his
rubbish,
fault.
but it's not his fault.
Yeah, but I don't
Which-
think he's been rubbish, but It's
No, we all agree he's
definitely
been
not-
rubbish.
No, we don't. He's done all right for a young kid.
Yeah,
coming
he
in
definitely has. In a debut season.
where he only scored 9 goals last year.
Just,
No, I'm
just
not
out of
sa-
curiosity, left field. Has Jackson been a success this season?
No, he's dreadful. He's dreadful.
No, and he's coming to
No,
a
but
club.
you know why that
We
is,
bring
though?
up
Do you
his
know what that
numbers.
is?
His numbers ain't.
No, but do you know why?
His numbers are
No,
good.
no, do you know why? Do you know why? Because Jackson actually gets loads of chances. And Jackson actually, he's a
But
really
Jackson
good runner.
also creates.
He got it. I like
Jackson
it.
also
Yeah.
creates a lot. of
He's
his
not
own
terrible. He's not
chances.
terrible. He's not terrible. He just can't finish.
I don't see.
He just can't finish.
He is minus. We've got 2 players on. You know these lists of like chances created, all these kind of things. We've got 2 players on these lists that fit into a negative list. the minus XG. Enzo Fernandez, one of them. Nicolas Jackson, the other. He's got a -4 XG. That amounts.
possible?
I think that amounts to like, because you know, like XGs when you look at the games, like even when you see on gambling apps, you see, they've got 0.2 shot or 0.
Yeah.
If you got 0.4, I feel like that's like potentially 12 goals. I don't even think it's 4 goals. I think it's 12 goals.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
I've seen more than 4 chances missed
Yeah.
from Nicolas Jackson this season in the box. I'll tell you.
Yeah,
that.
but to make a case for Jackson, I don't think Jackson's good. He's obviously not good enough. But the reason why you've seen Jackson have a lot of chances is because he comes short, he makes good
more.
runs,
Yeah,
he does
no.
more than
He's
runs.
more. He's more ready than Hojlund is now.
Yeah.
Because he's a quick runner. He's powerful. And he's a willing
He
runner.
is having
And actually,
these guys.
but you know what though?
So bad,
No,
man.
but you know what? With Chelsea, actually, in transition, they were right. Like they find him. Like they against a better team.
With
like,
Cole,
you know,
Cole Palmer so creative.
You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah,
So you actually create more than Man
We're
United.
under the cosh so much.
There's loads of room.
Yeah, there's loads of room.
The whole of the opposition think they can get a goal. They're all up there. Yeah.
Yeah.
This has been fun in a very negative way. We really hope that you've enjoyed the episode. Please do us a favour. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. Our list has gone a little bit all over the place. I think we've brought Enzo Fernandez into the conversation as well. So we're going to need you to do us a favour and let us know your top 5 or maybe even top 6 most underwhelming players this season. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you all on the next episode of The Playlist. Thank you so much for watching, and if you want to see us rank the top 5 current Premier League right backs, make sure that you click the link on the screen now.